nose.
You can't have a major crime without a cover-up, and that operation is easy to spot when it comes to the Kennedy assassination. JFK's body was seized at gunpoint at Parkland Hospital by the Secret Service and flown to a naval hospital in Washington for a bizarre autopsy conducted by two pathologists with little experience in gunshot wounds. In fact, the wounds were not even properly tracked. The entire autopsy took over 3 hours and seemed botched beyond belief. And then the notes from the lead pathologists were burned. Meanwhile, Jackie Kennedy and Robert Kennedy were located on a lower floor and couldn't understand why the autopsy was taking so long. RFK would soon call John McCone, the head of the CIA, and angrily ask if any of his boys were responsible. But since McCone had recently replaced Alan Dulles, he'd been kept out of the loop for obvious reasons. I bet RFK put an agent on determining where Bill Harvey was that day, but it was Johnny Roselli he should have been tracking. Harvey seems to have put out a call to a famous French assassin, codenamed QJ Wynn, and the CIA's European Front Permidex may have helped cover some expenses, although Sam Giancana claimed the Texas oil men running the John Birch Society put up the cash to pay the shooters. Apparently, some of the top assassins from different countries actually know each other by reputation. It's a private club they belong to. Characters like Harvey, Roselli, David Morales, Felix Rodriguez, and Lucien Sarti. Guys who pull triggers. And once you get a rep, you can work for the CIA or anyone else with money. Notice when Ian Fleming wrote about Her Majesty's Secret Service, he mentioned only a handful of double O's, and they all knew each other. Being a spook is one thing, but being a spook who kills on command is quite another. The greatest British assassin was probably William Stevenson, codenamed Intrepid, who didn't require a Walther PPK to dispatch targets, as he preferred to use a few well-placed karate chops. Commander Pitzer was a media guy who designed the system used at Bethesda Hospital. Apparently, the room used for the autopsy was fully wired, and it was hospital routine to keep records of procedures. After reviewing the tape, Pitzer must have realized something was rotten with the proceedings. Unfortunately, he contacted bigwigs at some major media, probably all 3 major networks, and began negotiations involving the footage. Pitzer was naive enough to think he could keep those conversations secret. Meanwhile, he announced his intention to resign from the Navy. Maybe you know the autopsy was engineered to support the idea of one shooter from behind, and JFK's shot in the back could no way be tracked to exit from his throat, no matter how contorted you folded his corpse. The autopsy took a long time because they had to reverse engineer the evidence, something that probably happened before the doctors entered the scene. Since the driver, William Greer, who had slowed to a near stop just as an umbrella was unfurled in the center of the kill zone, was strangely also present at the autopsy, one wonders what he knew. On October 29, 1966, Pitzer was found dead from a single shot to the temple a few days before his retirement. He'd been telling people he was getting a job with a major network, no doubt to produce a film about the autopsy and JFK assassination. It was the same weekend the Kennedy family announced they were releasing autopsy photos and other materials to the National Archives. Pitzer had recently been visited by a pair of officers who had interrogated him regarding the cause of his sudden retirement. Of course, his hands bore no nitrates and the weapon too far away to create powder burn. Nothing added up, but it was immediately ruled a suicide and never investigated. But in 2006, a former Green Beret named Dan Marvin published an expose on our involvement in Vietnam, a book that also mentioned Marvin had been asked to assassinate a naval officer in 1966, and the excuse given was the officer was about to release national security secrets to the enemy. Marvin said he turned down that mission because he had zero interest in killing an American on home turf, but was not surprised when William Pitzer turned up dead a few days later.